Kanye spit a rhyme about almost losing his life and being on life support and then having to spit his rhyme through a wire. His jaw was wired shut. Well, now I'm here to tell you how to make it to the kingdom through the fire of Hollywood. God's children all have to go through this Hollywood experience. And either you get consumed or the dross gets consumed and falls off. And if you God's son, the dross is gonna fall off. And you're gonna finish the race. So I had a blueprint. I have the roadmap. And so now I'm coming back to share with all my brethren and my sistren. I had a stomach aneurysm. My artery in my blood vessel in my stomach exploded. But I got a brethren heart. When all of the blood in my body pooled in my stomach, my heart kept pumping. For my brothers and sisters who was being deceived. For my brothers and sisters who names are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life because they've been deceived by the beast and have the mark of the beast. The whole world is wandering after the beast. And if you're going to make it into the kingdom, you got to come out of Babylon.
So do not rule out the possibility that this is merely a publicity stunt. Because I've seen people talking in the comments since this happened saying, well, I wouldn't have voted for him before, but now, it seems like someone's trying to silence him, someone's trying to shut him up. This whole thing seems like the public are being baited by the use of their emotions. I think it's important for us to familiarise ourselves with what the concept of baiting is. In this scenario, all it would entail is for a person to be placed in front of everybody who says exactly the right things to tickle the ears of a certain group in society that they want to target, and then that person acts as the bait, as you would catch any prey, as a predator would catch any prey. They act as the bait to entice the group of people towards that bait and then to ultimately catch them. And this, even when you look at the meaning of trump card, it's a valuable resource that may be used, especially as a surprise, in order to gain an advantage. And this all ties into baiting.
That's exactly what's happening. Americans are sheep being led to the slaughter and being fed directly to a wolf in sheep's clothing. Continue to follow Trump and you're gonna see when you take that bait, and it's not even good bait, because he's talking about bringing jobs to America. He's talking about all of this stuff, but he already has a track record. He already has a track record. So the bait that they're using to get America to be sheep led to the slaughter, it's not even good bait. So the wolf in sheep's clothing that Donald Trump is auditioning for is called Chino, the Antichrist Godfather, and he owns these dog tracks. All right, and the Greyhounds are everyone around the world who is chasing after the American dream, and Trump just runs the track.
And so what Donald Trump is saying, look, his best answer is, I want to bring jobs. Let me do it for you. Best debate line, Democrats care about the inner city when it's election time. After election time, what do you get? Zero.
Touts getting Americans back to work as a cornerstone of his campaign. Well, if that's the case, why does his massive South Florida estate, known as Mar-a-Lago, keep requesting workers from outside of the U.S. to work as cooks, waiters, and housekeepers? CBS 4's Jim DeFeeti hunts for answers.
I am so intent on putting people back to work in this country.
Donald Trump has bragged he will be the greatest jobs president God has ever created.
Our country can be great again. We have to put people back to work.
A CBS 4 News review of U.S. Labor Department records found that Donald Trump companies have requested hundreds of visas in recent years, claiming they were unable to find Americans willing to do even the most basic tasks. And that is particularly true at Trump's famed Palm Beach estate called Mar-a-Lago. Every year since at least 2008, Mar-a-Lago has requested anywhere from 70 to 90 visas to bring foreign workers into the country as cooks, waiters, and housekeepers. Starting pay between $10 and $12 an hour.
There more certainly is a bunch of people that actually would love to work, at that rate.
Just a short distance from Mar-a-Lago, we found folks interested in those jobs at Career Source Palm Beach County, a job placement service that helps businesses find workers. Cassandra McCorkle was out of work for a year before she recently was hired at a local restaurant.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Americans out there that will work if you get.
So the Trump supporter is what we call a hired hand. All right, so he's running the dog track. The greyhounds can never ever catch the rabbit. That's the American dream. It's made like that. But the supporter comes out there and doesn't speak any facts, right? Because Donald Trump never has created any jobs.
And these are the best and the finest. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Trotz eigener Beharrlichkeit, dann werden wir wieder emporsteigen, genau wie die Väter einst auch Deutschland nicht geschenkt erhielten, sondern selbst nicht schaffen mussten.
We're not safe, and we've got to stop thinking as black and white and purple and Arab. We've got to start thinking as Americans, and that's what Donald Trump is saying. We're Americans, America first.
You have to remember, Donald Trump is the head of Trump Organization, and when you look into that organization, it is filled with blacks, whites, Hispanics, Arabs, Asians. It's different religions, different creeds, and so he's a person that has created jobs. He's a person that signs checks.
Donald Trump is facing new allegations of racism after a former employee of his claims that he was forced to leave the hotel that he was working at because he was black when Donald Trump and his wife would visit. Now, this is according to an article published in The New Yorker by journalist Nick Baumgarten. And apparently he spoke to a man by the name of Kip Brown who worked at one of Donald Trump's casinos. According to Baumgarten, Brown also used to work in the casinos, at the Showboat, bussing tables, and at Trump's castle, stripping and waxing floors. When Donald and Ivana came to the casino, the bosses would order all the black people off the floor. It was in the 80s. I was a teenager, but I remember it. And he also says they put us all in the back.
You know, the charge is so shocking that you wonder, could it possibly be true? First of all, the New Yorker is incredibly reputable, right? They're not going to make this up, right? Second of all, this guy has no motivation, and I like how he gives his bona fides, basically, saying, like, look, this is a guy who, worked in this industry for a long time, well-respected, et cetera. He has no incentive to make it up. And then if you look further, and you want to be, is this generous to Trump? I don't know. I'll let you decide, right? And so it's not necessarily, and I want you to understand the context of why it might have happened. It's not necessarily that Donald Trump says to people that work beneath him, I hate black people, I never want to see them. My wife hates black people, she never wants to see them. I would be further shocked if that were the case. More likely, he lets it be known, hey, you know what? I want my casinos, this is the coded language they would use, to be high-end, okay? So and certain clientele are not high-end. Now, the reality is when Donald Trump is sitting in Manhattan for most of the time, yeah, people that go to casinos are sometimes white, they're sometimes black, Latino, and they're a mix, right? And people who work there are a mix, et cetera. But when Trump is going to come into town, he's surrounded by yes men. Remember, his whole life, yes, sir, Donald Trump, you are fantastic. You're the greatest person that ever lived. So if Donald Trump doesn't want to see black people because he thinks it's not high class, everybody underneath him will scurry to get rid of the black people on the floor, so that when he comes, we'll be like, you see that, Mr. Trump? Just like we told you, we delivered high-end clientele for you.
Yeah, it really depends on whether you believe that Trump overtly asked for this to happen, or if the language that he uses toward minorities and the poor convinces people working under him to do certain things without him asking ahead of time. So I don't know exactly how this worked out or how this played out in the 80s, and I don't know how real these accusations are, but this is a former employee of his who is just sharing his own experiences. What I do know is that Trump is very clear about his disdain toward minorities and poor people, right? And that kind of language definitely resonates toward people who want to please him. So if you know that he's not going to be in favor of seeing certain people around, then maybe you would hide black people or minorities. I don't know. I don't know how it all played out. But Trump doesn't hide the fact that he hates certain groups of people. He's very transparent about it. In fact, he's climbing up the polls as a result of it.
First, before you automatically jump to defend Donald Trump and say he's not a racist, first let me remind you that the two most satanic, diabolical, eras ever in human history happened in the Dark Ages by the Greco-Roman, pagan, Roman Catholic Church. That was the Dark Ages, the Inquisition, and then slavery, colonialism and slavery, all over the globe, all in the Caribbeans, Africa, and especially here in the United States of America. Once again under the flag of Christianity. And let's not forget about the Crusades. That's 3 eras. Emissaries of Great Britain and France, both Catholic nations, okay, flying the flag of the popes, and then sending their Protestant denominations here, and sending their Freemasons and their Jesuits who openly worship Satan, and then engaged in slavery. The Confederates of the South at one point left the Democratic Party and joined right-wing conservative evangelical Christians to form the Republican Party of today, that we have today. Those same satanic Confederate generals, Albert Pike, 33rd degree Freemason, wrote the Bible of Freemasonry, Morals and Dogma, was a Confederate general. And they are in bed with the Republican Party. So under President Ronald Reagan and under George H. Bush Sr., they devised a plan to where they could continue with their Confederate
Here's how I
racism
would approach that issue
and disguise it.
as a statistician or a political scientist, or no, as a psychologist, which I'm not, is how abstract you handle the race thing. In other words, you start out, and now y'all aren't quoting me on this.
All right, I won't hear it.
You start out in 1954 by saying nigger, nigger, nigger. By 1968, you can't say nigger. That hurts you, backfire. So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract now. You're talking about cutting taxes, and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things. And the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. And subconsciously, maybe that is part of it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it is getting that abstract and that coded, that we're doing away with the racial problem one way or the other. You follow me? Because obviously sitting around saying we want to cut taxes, we want to cut this, and we want is much more abstract than even the busing thing, and a hell of a lot more abstract than nigger, you know. So any way you look at it, race is coming on the back burner.
So now we know Donald Trump and the Republican Party, right-wing evangelical Christians, we know that they are down low racists. They have a strategy. They have a playbook. Use coded words. Okay, so example. War on drugs. Criminals. Monsters. Get tough on crime. All of that. All of those terms. He said, cut taxes, cut. So they use abstract stuff. So when Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, comes out with this draconian budget that's all about cutting, we need to balance the budget, we need to cut deficit spending. They ain't trying to cut deficit spending. Any type of welfare, corporate welfare, they willing to dole that out. All of the farms that they subsidize for that genetically modified trash that they feeding you, oh, they never gonna cut those budgets. Any type of corporate welfare, y'all think that just the poor get welfare? Man, everybody's getting welfare. They just spin it to make it look like the least of these among us are the ones who are tearing up the budget, when it's the ones in power, the elite, who are sucking up all of the resources and crashing the economy on purpose. So since the 1980s, when George H.W. Bush announced that he was ushering in and becoming the poster child and the face of the satanic occult New World Order, their strategy, it's an actual strategy, it's called the Southern Strategy. Their strategy was to continue to be racist, continue to be Catholic, Christians, evangelicals, and continue to dehumanize minorities, but to use code words, hidden code words that were very abstract and designed to target and hurt African Americans and not Christians, right-wing Republicans who are going to go to church every Sunday and have the form of godliness but deny the power thereof, who would be that specific group who Christ himself said, many will come in my name, the wolves in sheep's clothing, saying, look, we've done all manner of things in your name. We have built a great nation on the backs of slaves. We have profited handsomely. We have built universities and sent our kids for generations to school to learn how to continue to dehumanize and pillage the whole world. And we've done it all in your name. And the master said, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. You could call yourself a Christian all you want. You can say Christ, Christ, Christ all you want. I never knew you, you worker of iniquity. You're Satan himself. Christianity is satanic. Always has, always will be. Emperor Constantine created Christianity. Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He told Moses, go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Moses said, who do I say sent me? I am that I am sent you. So a follower of God, of the Creator, is called the way. Because that's what Christ said his name was. I am the way. And he said, there is a broad way that leads to destruction, and there's a narrow way that leads to eternal life. I am the way. Christianity has never been anything other than a Trojan horse by Greco-Roman pagans to do a job, a cowardly job of deception, because Satan had no power to fight and destroy God's children and his movement straight up. So the cowards had to come in the garb of Christ, wrap themselves in the image of the Lamb of God, all while being wolves, and he told you they was going to do it. So if you got deceived, it doesn't excuse you. It's your fault. Now, come on home. Come out of Babylon. Let us clean you up. See, all of that history doesn't matter. Trump doesn't even matter. He's just a little pawn in the game. He's an underboss. The culprit behind it all is on the screen. And the two texts on the screen says that Babylon was going to be drowned for what it has done to God's children, deceiving and causing one of the little ones who believe in him to stumble. A millstone would be tied around the neck of Babylon and they would be thrown into the depths of the sea. See, what y'all have to understand is the Gentiles, who the Greco-Roman, who Greece and Rome came out of, the Gentiles were given an opportunity just like the Jews, just like everybody else. And just like everybody else before them, they rejected the opportunity. But the time is up. God was pursuing the Gentiles as a lamb. But once the clock struck close of probation on the Gentiles, which has happened, the master transformed into the lion. He transformed from the lamb into the lion. And then Michael stands up, and it's time to pay. And now it's time to pay. And you just can't be an accomplice to the beast. Listen, once again, I am the sovereign money changer. Just like Christ turned over the money changers in the temple and cleansed the temple. You have to be born again. That's what you're seeing on the screen. The word said, surely I will do nothing. The Lord will surely do nothing, save he reveal his will to his servants, the prophets. That's what I am. I'm revealing his will. You must be born again. Then you must run the race. But you have to go through the cleansing process through the royal priesthood, the holy nation. Right? The priest after the order of Melchizedek, the king of Salem, the king of righteousness. That's who we are. We are aliens in this nation. This is alienation. So, the reason you got to get cleaned up is because this is the blood audit. For your lifeblood, I will surely give an accounting. Whosoever sheds human blood, one drop of blood, and the beast is on the screen. The whole world has the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast in the forehead is when Rome, pagan, papal Satanic Rome set itself up in the place of the Most High, calling himself God, the vicar of God on earth. Anyone who agrees with the false worship of Rome, you taking the mark in your head. And anyone who wears out the saints, participated in dehumanization at any period in history, profited off of slavery or the Inquisition or anything, if your family or anybody has participated in any wearing out the saints, then you are participating in the mark of the beast in your hand. That's your actions. So God said, I have a book, Lamb's Book of Life. The Lamb's Book of Life. And he said those who receive the mark of the beast are those whose names are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life. So this is your opportunity for anyone who has been scarred by the beast and his emissaries, who've been deceived and dragged down in the muck and mire. And if you find yourself like the prodigal son out there in the muck and mire, you can come home. Come to your senses and come home. We got a rehabilitation service for anybody who is in the muck and mire right now. We sitting home ready to clean you up. Just come on home. And for anybody who has the mark of the beast, meaning you've been participating in the false satanic system of worship, whether it be in Christianity, is in Islam, in Judaism, in Buddhism, in Hinduism, in all of the pagan religions that have come out of Baal worship, satanic worship, secret societies, and been packaged in Christianity through the Roman Catholic Church for 2,000 years. Come home, we'll clean you up too. We got an intervention service. This is our family business. This is what we do. That's what I'm talking. When I say family, I'm talking about me, my wife, my kids. We've been on the grind with the least of these, our brethren, city to city, hood to hood, Haiti, Africa, you name it. We saving God's children. So, no matter what side of the fence you on, come home.